Today I'll be showing you how I create this horse illustration. I typically like to start with these settings on my canvas. Today I'm going to be working on a portrait canvas instead of a landscape, so I'm readjusting that. And using the action tool, I'll be inserting my reference photo. After adjusting the reference photo, I'll be adding a new layer and going in with the studio pen brush to make an outline. And today I'll be picking the colors right out of the reference photo instead of making a palette. This outline is going to become the base layer of the illustration. After I fill everything up, I'm gonna add a new layer and go back in with a darker color. And I really just like to eyeball where the darker colors are, try to experiment. If it doesn't work, just undo and do it over again. And I'll basically be using this same technique throughout the whole illustration. So I'll be adding layers of color and highlights and shadows like this. Once I think I'm done, I like to go back by making the layer below visible and seeing if there are any corrections that I need to make or if it looks okay. Now I'm going to be adding another layer on top of this and adding an even darker shadow. For techniques like this, it's important to notice where the light source is coming from and seeing where you should focus your darker colors and where you should focus your lighter colors. In this case, the light source is coming from the left upper side of the image, so I'm focusing more of the darker colors on the right side of his face. Once I'm done with this color, I'm gonna add a new layer and add an even darker shadow color. Now I'm adding another layer and going in with a highlight color. And sometimes it can be hard to see where the lighter colors are or the darker colors are, so it helps to squint your eyes and see what color pops up. Once I think I'm done with this color, I go back in the other layers, making it visible, and see how the progress is. And I noticed that the highlights weren't as bright enough, so I'm gonna go back in with the even lighter color and making more detailed highlights. Once I get the basic highlights and shadows in, I like to have the reference photo there to look at and go in with even more details. I noticed that right now the midtones are missing, so I'm trying to find the perfect color by maneuvering through the palette instead of picking out the actual color from the reference photo. Here, I'm gonna go back in with a mid-tone color where I think the lines are too harsh and making it a little bit more blended. Here I go back in with an even darker color to make the image more crisp looking. And now that I think I'm done with the body, I'm gonna pinch all the layers together to merge, and I'm gonna go into the details. I'm gonna go in the star on his forehead by using the little pine tool and trying to imitate the little hair on his forehead. I like to play with the opacity and the thickness of the brushes when I'm doing something like this and just see what works the best. After that, I'm gonna use the Studio Pen tool to work on the eyes. Here I'm gonna be creating different layers for just the eyes. So for the outline, for the dark areas, for the highlights, and for the actual eyeball. To get that depth in the eye, I like to select certain colors from the actual reference photo and laying it on top of the photo to create the whole eye. And like so, by turning on the other layers, you'll be able to see where you need to add color and you need to fix. I thought the outline of the eye was a little too intense, so I'm just gonna go select that layer and change the opacity to about 50%. Once the eye is done, I'm gonna go into the bangs. I'm using the Studio Pen tool and going in with the colors I picked up from the reference photo. I like to start with the base layer with the darkest color and then adding lighter colors on top of it. The last detail I'll be working on is the mouth area. And this is different because there's a little bit more gray, there's darker colors, there's lighter colors, and there's also a little bit of lighter yellows. And I'm just layering as much color as I can find from the reference photo and making it kind of like a puzzle piece to create the whole mouth area. Once I think I'm done with that, I like to go back in by turning off the reference photo and putting on the other layers to see how the actual illustration is. And I often find a little bit of spacing that I need to color in or details that I missed. So that's what I'm doing here. And now I'm done with the illustration. This technique could be used for a lot of other animals, so give it a go and thank you so much for watching.